The way to avoid inner tube punctures from spokes or any problems from spoke tension is to make sure that they're in proper torque specs. So I'm going to go over that now with my Honda crf300l. Really simple, super easy. These are probably going to all click right behind me without me even having to turn them, because Honda doesn't recommend that you even like mess with them at all until 8,000 miles. But I've got like, wait, how many miles do I have on this bike? 1,895 miles on the bike so far. Not a lot of miles, not nearly enough to be worried, as you know, I guess indicated by the user manual. However, I have rode the bike off-road some bit. I have tried to do wheelies on it. I'm rough on all my bikes. I, you know, hop over curbs and stuff like that all the time in city. So yeah, I'm gonna check on it before the manual suggests that I should. Just like I'm going to change the oil before 8,000 miles. It's ridiculous. If I see that oil looks like garbage, I'm not going to leave it in there for 8,000 miles just because the book tells me I can. I'm gonna use my brain a little bit. So I'm gonna check these spokes and let you see what that's like. Okay, so I probably should have mentioned that you're gonna have to get your bike off the ground a little bit to do this. I know you're not completely stupid, and you probably know that you're gonna have to do that. I'm only even mentioning getting the wheel off the ground because I'm using this car jack to do it. I don't have a proper stand or lift or anything like that. Not suggesting you lift your bike off the ground like this, nor am I teaching you how to do anything. I'm just, you know, letting you see something. Looking up torque specs here for the bike. Okay, finally I'm back because I'm a little bit stupid, and the only figures that I could find for the torque specs for the front and rear spokes were 2.7 foot-pounds, thanks to Toot Scoots on YouTube, the only YouTube channel, mind you, that I could find for this particular bike that had the torque specs listed, because he looked in the service manual and they weren't there. So he marched up to the dealer where he bought the bike, and he's like, hey, can you give me some info? And apparently they printed out 2 pieces of paper of torque specs for the Honda crf300l that he posted on his YouTube channel. I got those, and also looked up some others offline on what is it, Thumper Talk? Yeah, I was gonna check my phone, but I remember now, it's Thumper Talk. The only reason why I was checking on the Thumper Talk forums is because I was cross-referencing the data, because it's very easy to get the wrong torque specs for anything, or for instance, like I did before with my Hawk 250, I got the wrong valve clearance specs off the internet somehow, and it made the bike run funky. I had to get the right one. So you want to make sure you get the right torque specs no matter what you're working with. So don't take my word particularly. Do so in this case because I've cross-referenced them and they are correct. So 2.7 foot-pounds is the info that I got from Thumper Talk and Toot Scoots. According to this website and this converter, input 2.7 foot-pounds, output 3.6 newton meters. I converted it to newton meters rather than inch-pounds because getting this thing set to the inch-pound setting, that would be the equivalent of the foot-pound setting, is a pain in the ass. Is the newton meters, which is 3.6, which is really easy. There's a 3.6 setting right there, so I'm just going to use that. Beautiful. You're going to use the 5.8 millimeter bit head if you got this Warp 9 here. With this particular torque thing, you want to make sure you have this little protrusion facing this indentation there and the settings, so it'll actually click whenever it's hitting the right tension. Otherwise it won't, and you'll just be continuously charging it for no reason. Anywho, I'm doing this to check and see how Honda stuff's holding up after whatever miles I mentioned earlier versus my other bike. Alright, so what I'm going to do and what you're going to do is start anywhere on the rim that you'd like, but I would like to start where there's a particular landmark, such as the valve stem here. These are going to turn, if you think about it, the nut's going to turn clockwise to turn onto the spoke. This thing here turns that away to tighten onto that. So you're going to be turning clockwise. It looks like it's turning counterclockwise given the orientation to the rim, but just turn it like that. Alright, so it clicks. You skip 2. Proceed on. Skipping 2. So the number of spokes on this Honda will make you jump around whenever you skip 2. I don't know what number you're supposed to skip, if you're supposed to skip like an odd number, given the number of spokes. I'm a noob at this, like I said, I'm not teaching you to do anything, I'm just showing what I'm doing. With the Hawk 250, I don't know what number of spokes are on it, but whenever I went around, you'd start at this one, skip 2, end up to that one, keep going, and then end up right back at this one. And then you start at this one, do the same thing, you end up right back at this one, you do the same thing, and so on, and you end up to the same one, and you end up having to jump a spoke every time. With this bike, though, the number of spokes, observe, I'll speed it up so it won't be so boring. With this one, you progress to the next one, which is neat. I've just never encountered that before, and like I said, I'm a noob. If I weren't a noob, I probably would have encountered that before.
So start this one, I guess I'll cover all of them. I'm not even sure at this point. Confused like hell, but...
You get the picture. No need to bore you with any more of this. Alright, I was gonna skip over these, but I'm glad I didn't as far as filming it, because these are actually loose. Now I have to keep my tree turned that away. Keep this on the ground. Oh, this is not safe at all. I don't recommend doing this. I'm almost about to flip my bike over, but sort of controlled. See, these are loose. Just turning them like a quarter turn each time. If I didn't do this, these could puncture my tires. My inner tubes, rather. Now these ones, the number of spokes, you end up right back at the same one. The rear one's not so, I don't know why, but I'm just gonna go back to this again until they all click, and then I'll continue on. Again, I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do, that's what I'm gonna do. On to the next one. Last one. These are all loose. I'm glad I decided to check these. This could have been a safety issue. Alright, finally click all the way around. I'm done. I wasn't going to record that because I figured it would be boring, but I figured I would include it then because some of the spokes were loose. Just to further the point that you should maintain your bikes on your own schedule, or whenever you think that they need to be maintained based on what you're doing with them, because I've been trying to pop wheelies on this bike and other things and riding off-road. The service intervals mentioned by the user manual, they may be something that's more relevant to like the on-road, off-road applications of the bike and not necessarily the kind of stuff that I put the bikes through. Regardless, check your tire pressure, check your air filter frequently if you ride off-road or in rainy conditions like me, a lot of dust. Check your spokes if you do a lot of crazy stuff on your bikes, or not necessarily crazy things, just if you ride them kind of rough. Check your chain tension, check everything. Change your oil before it's suggested to do so. I mean, whenever it starts looking bad, I'm gonna change it. Whenever I think I need to give a look at these, I will. If I'd gone along with the service manual, then I would have had a punctured tire. What I'm getting at is, you know what you're doing these motorcycles. You know your use. The service manuals, they're like a guideline for what you do with general use for the bike. Even if you do ride this bike off-road, you know well if you ride bikes off-road that you're supposed to maintain them more frequently than if you just ride them on the streets. So a little more taxing. We'll check these as much as I need to, because I don't like being on the side of the road with a punctured inner tube because of a lack of preventative maintenance that could be done on my part. Easy peasy stuff. It's not even hard at all. Word to the wise, reset your torque wrenches to 0. Just loosen them all the way so the springs don't give out on you. They were looser than I thought they would be, but they're fine now. Oh, one thing I wanted to notice, or one thing I wanted to note rather, if you notice on this 21-inch rim here, Honda made this pre-drilled hole for the rim locks directly across from the what's this thing called? I always forget that. It's not an air spigot. It's an air, Jesus Christ, what's that called? I don't even know. I don't care. Anyway, it's directly across from that. Now, supposedly, if it's closer this way, you know, closer to this thing, then it's going to be easier to remove. But I think they did that because it's a 21-inch rim, and it's easier to remove the tire from the rim anyway. You know, so no bones to having this almost directly across. And it's not. It could be like right there or right there. It'd be like really, really directly across. I say that because if you look on this tire here, this is positioned there rather than further. So since it's a smaller rim, I'm thinking they put it there so it'll be easier for you to remove the tire if you install a rim lock. Pretty neat that it comes with the rim lock holes from the factory and you don't have to drill them yourself. And it's also pretty neat they're considerate about the rim size and the ease of removing the tire when a rim lock's installed, because of course, you know, whenever you install a rim lock, the tire is slightly harder to remove. Anyway, that's enough of my babbling. Bye.